I was a huge skeptic of Joe Dispenza. I don't know why these meditations work. I'm not sure how they're designed to strike these chords and impact people in different ways. But if you do the work, the change that you get from that is permanent change. As a little bit of background, I had Bell's palsy 3 times in my early 20s, so I got the lucky lottery ticket of being the 1% of the 1%. And so I had it on my left side and my right side, had it on my right side twice. And I had permanent nerve damage in my right corner of my mouth, and my eyes wouldn't blink at the same rate. You basically get treated like a leper when you can't move half your face, you have food drooling out of your mouth, you can't speak properly, you look like you had a stroke. No one knows how to talk to you or treat you, so it's a pretty emotional response to having had it multiple times. I mean, I was very fearful going into the meditations, thinking that something like that might happen in my brain again. Well, my son Max just had double hip surgery, and I agreed for him to come here to recover from not just the physical process, but the emotional process. I was in Costco and I was picking up a bag of mulch and I tweaked my back, and I'd just been getting my fitness back and felt really good, so I was pretty bummed. And my son Max, who's 19, said, well, now's a pretty good time to start the work, and you have nothing better to do, so you might as well do the meditations. I had done different forms of meditation, but never something like Dispenza. And in the first 5 minutes of my meditation, I felt a really warm feeling on my face that really freaked me out. And I felt this energy just release from my face. And so I stopped for a second. I said, okay, I'm healthy, I'm safe, I'm okay, I'm gonna keep going. And 20 minutes later, I started to feel this feeling that I was smiling equally. I haven't smiled in a photograph literally since my early 20s. About a week later, I was doing another meditation and I felt this pain in the back part of my shoulder. It went up through my neck, through my face, up through my sinuses, and then right about here, it got very, very painful where I felt like I was getting electrocuted. But I trusted it and kept going. And then it got here and just released. And immediately I was able to start blinking at the same rate. About a week later, my mother was in town and I hadn't seen her for more than 5 minutes. She's sitting across from me. It was very upsetting for her to know that her son had something physical happen that she couldn't fix. And so she immediately looked at me and she said, you're blinking the same, you're smiling, what happened? When I was 13 years old, I was a pitcher. I tore my rotator cuff and my arms were literally, my right arm was 3 inches shorter. So every time I got a suit tailored, the tailor would look at me and say, your arms aren't the same length. I was in a meditation, I was moving my shoulder, and then I did a slight pull on my arm that I would never be able to do consciously. And I felt something go around my shoulder, felt this release. And so the next morning, I'm having breakfast and I'm talking to Max, and I said, do you have all these weird things happen to you? And he's like, no. I was like, well, I had this thing happen with my shoulder, and he's like, put out your arms. So I put out my arms, and today this is a 1/2 inch longer. And so my right arm was 1/2 inch longer. So for someone who is such a massive skeptic, for all those that are turned off like I was, that, this is all about walking out of wheelchairs, this was a really small thing, but I'd obviously been holding it my whole life. Be skeptical, and you'll be surprised.